For the first time, Joong, Pon, Santa, and Oo sat together, not as actors, but as Jasper. Their first live interview as a group was filled with excitement, nerves, and the surreal realization that this was real, that they were a unit now. But adjusting to this new identity came with some unexpected quirks. They laughed about how strange it felt to add Jasper to their names, joking that people at the GMMTV building had started greeting them with, "Hey, it's Pon Jasper," or "Hey, it's Joong Jasper." It was a little embarrassing, but all in good fun. Still, something about it didn't quite sit right with Joong. The word project before Jasper made it feel temporary, like something that could be taken away. The day they removed project from our name, he said, that's when I'll be really excited. Because for them, this wasn't just a temporary assignment. It was years of dreams, setbacks, and silent battles leading them here. Hey, I'm Blush. Welcome or welcome back. You know me, I love a good BL pairing or series analysis. I cover all the happenings and the chaos that is the BL industry. But today, we're stepping into something different. Well, not totally different since everyone here is a part of the BL industry, so I thought it would be fitting. I have quite a few videos on what GMMTV gets up to, so if you're interested, I'll link that playlist below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a deep dive like this one. Let's get into it. It was December of 2024, and GMMTV was up to something. Fans could feel it. Something big was coming. The first clue? A cryptic post. A new artist was on the way, but who? Slowly, letters began to appear, forming what looked like an acronym. Speculation ran wild. Was this a soloist? A duo? A special project? Then, the final reveal. Jasper. Not just an artist, but an idol group. Joong, Oo, Santa, Pon. 4 actors stepping into the world of idols. GMMTV had idol groups before, but this felt different. A group built entirely from actors, trained, polished, and ready to take the stage. Jasper isn't just another project, it's a statement, a risk, a new era. And now the question is, can they make it? Jasper didn't come together overnight. There had been talks for a long time, but finding the right members took time, and in the end, it was CEO Ta who made the call. First, he chose Pon and Joong. The two had already been a natural duo, often spotted on TikTok doing dance challenges together long before Jasper existed. Their passion for performing was clear. Meanwhile, Joong had his eye on Santa. He had seen his talent firsthand and knew he would make a perfect addition to the group, and as fate would have it, Santa was being added. The final piece came at the We Are FanCon. That's when Oo caught the CEO's attention. His aura stood out, and after consulting the other members, they knew Oo belonged here. Though Jasper was just the beginning, most of them had already worked together before. There was no need for awkward introductions, no need for formalities. They were already comfortable, already family. But behind each of them was a different journey, one filled with struggles, sacrifices, and dreams that had to be put on hold. Before they became Jasper, each had their own fight to get here. Joong's journey is nothing short of a roller coaster, one filled with ambition, loss, and resilience. It's the kind of story that makes you wonder, how much can one person take before they break? At just 16, Joong made a bold decision. Unlike most teenagers who were still figuring out their futures, he was ready to start his life. He moved to Thailand on his own, determined to finish school quickly, get a job, and carve his own path. What he didn't realize was that life had its own plans for him. He jokingly brags that in his early days, he joined a pageant just for fun, only to walk away with first place by mistake. Suddenly, his confidence skyrocketed. Then, while casually walking around Siam one day, a stranger pulled him aside and asked if he was interested in auditioning for a casting call. Was it pure luck? Or maybe it was the Gucci jeans he was wearing that day. He admits his outfit was on point, so maybe it played a part. Curious, he went. The moment he stepped into the audition room, he realized he was out of his depth. Many of the contestants already had fans. Their hair and makeup were professionally done. Then came the moment of truth, what he calls the slaughter room, where hopefuls would either be cut or allowed to stay. Out of the 12 contestants, 10 were eliminated on the spot. Only Joong and one other person remained. Just like that, he was in. His first series followed soon after, and while he admits his performance wasn't exactly award-worthy, it did something unexpected. It made him popular. Fans started following him, and suddenly, he was an actor. But here's the thing, acting was never his dream. His real fascination? Idols. Back when he was still in Turkey, he looked up to groups like Big Bang and BTS. He'd even filmed dance covers with his younger siblings, mimicking BTS's fake love in their home. So when a chance to join a Chinese idol survival show appeared, he took it. This was it. the beginning of his idol journey. Then came the real challenge. He had never trained like this before. Unlike the other contestants, many of whom had years of experience in singing and dancing, he was starting from scratch. Over the next 2 months, he pushed himself to the limit, learning Mandarin, perfecting the dance moves, trying to catch up to the trainees who had spent years preparing for this moment. The show itself was a massive production, bringing together hopefuls from China, Korea, Japan. Despite the fierce competition, the environment was warm and uplifting. But there was a catch. Idol training meant complete discipline. Their diet was strict. Broccoli and fish every day. Weight reports were mandatory. Every ounce mattered, but nothing compared to the pressure of performing, of proving yourself, of not being left behind. And then, just 3 days before filming was set to begin, disaster struck. The pandemic hit. Everything he had worked for, gone. The Chinese language he had learned, the countless hours of dance lessons, the friendships formed through shared struggles, all wiped out in an instant. No one could believe it. There were hundreds of contestants from all over the world, and yet the show was cancelled. It didn't make sense. How could something so massive, so meticulously planned, just vanish overnight? Confused and heartbroken, the trainees were sent back to their dorms. Joong had a call with the agency, where the senior staff made them an offer. They could stay in China for another month before heading home, but they would have to spend 15 days in quarantine. Those 15 days were hell. Locked in a room, completely isolated, the reality of his situation hit him hard. He hadn't just lost a show, he had lost everything. The life he had started building, gone. His dreams of becoming an idol, gone. His path forward, unclear. When he finally returned to Thailand, it didn't feel like coming home. It felt like returning to nothing. He had left everyone behind for this dream, and now he had returned even less than before. His contract was dissolved, and he had no money left. And just when he thought things couldn't get worse, his father passed away. The weight of everything crashed down all at once. No money, no direction, no support system. He was filming a music video with his friends when he got the call. His father had passed away the first day of filming, but Joong had no choice. He had to keep going. The next 2 days he pushed through, crying while putting on his own makeup because they couldn't even afford a makeup artist. This was an independent project funded by their own pockets, meant as a final gift to the people in Thailand who had supported him. Since the survival show never happened, they made the music video instead, and after losing his father, he lost his pillar of support. But he knew if he didn't become that pillar, no one else would. He had younger siblings who needed him, he had a family to protect. There was no time to wallow in grief, no time to give up. He had to survive. So he started over, and just 2 weeks later, an agency reached out to him. Joong had hit rock bottom, but he refused to stay there. And this was only the beginning. Woo doesn't talk much about himself, but we did get a bit of his story. His story begins with a simple truth. He didn't have the same opportunities as others. Growing up in the countryside, the entertainment industry felt like a faraway world, something he could admire from a distance, but never truly be a part of. Unlike those who grew up in the city, with access to abundant auditions, dance classes, and training programs, his world was quieter. His first taste of dancing came unexpectedly. It wasn't in a studio or a stage, but around a campfire during a high school scout event. The flickering flames, the laughter of his friends. It was supposed to be just another school night, but as he danced, something clicked. This was fun. This was freeing. This was something he wanted to feel again. And so he kept going. Dance covers, competitions, but it was never about fame or ambition. It was just the joy of the movement, the thrill of performing, the bond he shared with his friends. To him, it was just a hobby, something fun. He never thought it could lead anywhere, but did he dream? Of course he did. Still, he never dared to hope. Not really. Then one day, a casting call. GMMTV was looking for new talent. For a boy from the countryside, this was the kind of chance that didn't come twice. So he went, he auditioned, and against all odds, he became an actor. At first, he wasn't sure how to feel about it. He didn't love acting. It wasn't something he had truly imagined himself doing. But life had handed him this path, so he chose to walk it. He chose to make the best of it. But deep down, his real dream never changed. He didn't just want to act, he wanted to sing. He loved singing, but he convinced himself that if it was meant to be, it would happen someday. Maybe later, maybe in another life. And now that dream is here. With Jasper, he's finally stepping onto the stage not just as an actor, but as a singer, something his grandfather had always wanted to see. After years of waiting and hoping, and taking every unexpected turn that life threw at him, he's finally here where he's always meant to be. At 16, Santa was just an ordinary student until K-pop caught his eye. There was something mesmerizing about it. The music, the performances, the sheer dedication of the idols. It wasn't just entertainment. It was a world he wanted to be a part of. From that moment on, he had one thought in his mind. One day, I'm going to South Korea. Every day, his motivation was simple. Watch, practice, repeat. The idol world became his obsession, his inspiration, and the thing that fueled him. But when he first entered the entertainment industry, he started as an actor. Acting was fine, but deep down, he wanted to be an artist. Then came the opportunity that would change everything. A survival show. This was it, the moment he had been waiting for. He passed the audition and before he knew it, he was in South Korea. But stepping into the world of idols wasn't just about chasing a dream, it was about proving himself. The competition was brutal. His fellow trainees, many of them Korean, had been training in dance and vocals since childhood. They had the foundation, the experience, the fluency. Meanwhile, Santa was starting from scratch. The language barrier was isolating, the training was relentless, and so he gave everything. Every second was devoted to dancing and singing. He didn't stop, not even during meal breaks. Sleep 2 to 3 hours a night at most. He was exhausted, overwhelmed, and yet he kept going. But there were nights when it got too much, when doubt and exhaustion crept in. He would cry in the bathroom at home quietly so his mom wouldn't hear. He didn't want to worry her, and he didn't want anyone to see how much he was struggling. But in the end, he reminded himself of one thing. He chose this. No one forced him to be here. No one made him take this path. This was his decision. And if he was going to do this, he was going to give it everything. Then came the final round of NBC's Fantasy Boys. Eliminated. The journey he had poured his soul into, over. But instead of bitterness, Santa flew back to Thailand with zero regrets. Because in the end, this experience had given him something even more valuable than a debut. It had shaped him. He had learned that no matter how good you think you are, there is always something to learn. And encountering people from different places with different skills and perspectives will teach you things you never even thought possible. And most of all, that you should never stop developing yourself, because the journey never really ends. And for Santa, this was only the beginning.
ซ้อมหนักมากๆเลยฮะ เราก็ต้องรีบตามคนอื่นให้ทันอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับผมแต่ไม่เป็นไรฮะ fighting
It started in 2018 with a simple idea, one he never dared to say out loud. He wanted to be a dancer, but in his mind, admitting that dream out loud meant inviting ridicule. People would laugh, they wouldn't take him seriously. So he kept to himself. Determined to make it happen on his own, he got a part-time job at a cafe. He worked every single day, saving up until finally he had enough for dance classes. Every evening at 6 p.m. he trained. For 2 to 3 months he poured himself into dancing, but reality hit hard. Training was expensive and time-consuming, and a couple of months, it wasn't enough. He wasn't ready to audition, he needed more time, more experience. Then university started and everything changed. Suddenly his world was consumed by studies. Dancing faded into the background, until one day, an audition. He took a chance, he failed the first round. But he didn't stop. He kept sending in auditions over and over again, until finally one contacted him back. At last, a breakthrough. Or so he thought. They told him, we'll get things sorted and call you soon. But he didn't believe them. To him, it felt like a consolation, a polite way of saying, this isn't going to work out. And so, he convinced himself that the call was never coming. Days turned into weeks turned into months, a whole year passed. And during that year, Han fell into a dark place. He stopped watching anything dance-related, stopped following the industry, stopped even trying. He cut off contact from his dance friends, made excuses to avoid plans. He couldn't face it, because after 3 years of effort, it felt like he had nothing to show for it. Then one day his phone rang. It was them. The same people who had told him they'd call. The same people he had assumed never would. His first thought? I shouldn't have stopped practicing. Where would his skills be now if he kept going? If he hadn't let himself fall into a slump? But that regret was nothing compared to what came next. When he met them again, they finally told him the truth. It was an age issue. And this time, Han just shrugged and said, it's okay. He had finally made peace with it, but life wasn't done with him yet, because not long after, he entered a talent search competition, and this time, he won. That victory led him straight to GMMTV in 2020, and from there, well, we know the rest of the story. JASP.ER's journey is just the beginning, but their stories tell us one thing. This group was built on perseverance. Joong, Santa, and Pon all took different paths to get here, paths filled with doubt and years of hard work. Each of them had moments where they could have given up, where the door to the industry seemed shut, but they kept going. And now they stand together on the same stage. JASP.ER isn't just an experiment. It's proof that their passion, their struggles, and their dreams led them here for a reason. And they're already thinking about what's next. Future collaborations? They've got ideas. Pon says if his rap game improves, he'd love to collaborate with Millie. Joong wants to work with Jeff Satter, and if it's a female artist, Millie or Boki Lion. Santa thinks it would be super cool to work with F-Hero, while dreams of collaborating with Bam Bam from GOT7. Big names, big goals, big ambitions. And as they step into the idol world, one thing is clear. This is only the beginning. So what do you think? Will JASP.ER carve out their place in the industry? Are you excited for what's next? Let's talk about it in the comments.